Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky appealed to Congress for help on Wednesday in a historic speech, telling U.S. lawmakers, "We need you right now," as he invoked tragedies in American history, like the attack on Pearl Harbor and the September 11 terrorism. This speech was given as a virtual address to a joint session of Congress during times of high pressure from Ukraine on the United States to supply military assistance, which plays a crucial role in the country's defense against Russia. At the closing of his speech, Zelensky had a message to President Joe Biden. "You are an influential leader, and I hope that you continue to push for peace." Joe Biden, Vice President to Barack Obama, has announced new security assistance for Ukraine and has issued a strong condemnation of Russia. The video featured harrowing scenes from the war-torn country. The screen read, "Close the sky over Ukraine" at the end. Zelensky paid tribute to tragic moments in American history as he made his appeal. "Friends, Americans in your great history, you have pages that would allow you to understand Ukrainians. Understand us now. We need you right now," he said through a translator at the start of his speech, though at the end of his remarks he spoke in English. "Remember Pearl Harbor, terrible morning of December 7, 1941, when your sky was black from the planes attacking you," Zelensky said. "Just remember it, remember? September the 11th, a terrible day in 2001 when evil tried to turn U.S. cities into battlefields, when innocent people were attacked from air, just like nobody else expected it, and you could not stop it. Our country experiences the same every day right now at this moment." The U.S. has been working closely with Ukraine for years in response to Russia's territorial aggression. The speech sparked debate about what more the U.S. could do. There is bipartisan approval for aid to Ukraine, but many U.S. lawmakers are also hesitant about any involvement in a direct armed conflict with Russia. Members from both parties lauded Zelensky after the speech had finished, and many agreed that the U.S. needs to do more regarding Ukraine. Most didn't go as far as to endorse Zelensky's call for a no-fly zone, though. A number of Democrats have welcomed the aid package Biden have already delivered. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi described it as quite remarkable. "We're grateful that he was grateful to the United States for all that we have done and what President Biden has done," she said. As he left the address, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell called it an incredibly effective speech, but said the message to President Biden is that he needs to step up his game. In his speech, Zelensky implored lawmakers to do more. "Russia has turned the Ukrainian sky into a source of death for thousands of people," he said as he described the use of missiles, bombs and drones by Russian troops to inflict brutal and deadly attacks on his country. "We are asking for a reply to this terror from the whole world. To create a no-fly zone over Ukraine to save people, is this too much to ask?" he said. Zelensky went on to say, "You know how much depends on the battlefield, on the ability to use aircraft. Powerful, strong aviation to protect our people, our freedom, our land, aircraft that can help Ukraine, help Europe. You know they exist, and you have them, but they are on Earth, not in the Ukrainian sky. I need to protect our sky," he said. A no-fly zone at this point in time would pit the U.S. against Russia and could escalate current tensions, lawmakers from both parties caution. Republicans are usually in favor of giving Ukraine military equipment, but some Democrats and the White House don't want to escalate a situation with Russia that could trigger a war. Some lawmakers in Congress are proposing to add provisions for providing Ukraine with fighter jets to legislation that would target Russian energy imports and trade status. However, the fate of such an effort is not yet clear. The U.S. and its allies have taken a wide range of actions in recent weeks intended to punish Moscow for its invasion, including the rollout of harsh sanctions and export controls and a $350 million security assistance package. In addition, Congress recently passed a $13.6 billion emergency package to supply defensive, humanitarian, and economic aid to Ukraine, and the Biden administration announced a $200 million assistance package this past weekend. As Biden announced an additional $800 million in security assistance for Ukraine on Wednesday, the president outlined a series of anti-aircraft and anti-armor systems, small arms and ammunition, and drones the administration was surging to the region to fend off Russian attacks. Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, has announced that Ukrainian President-elect Volodymyr Zelensky will speak to members of Congress live over video. The speech will be broadcasted on TV and live-streamed on Facebook. Nancy introduced Zelensky before his talk. Members of Congress gathered in an auditorium in the U.S. Capitol to watch the virtual address. Zelensky said at the start of his speech that he was speaking from Ukraine's capital city of Kyiv, a city which is under missile and air strikes from Russian troops every day, but it doesn't give up, he said. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki told reporters on Tuesday that, despite requests from Zelensky, The White House does not support instituting a no-fly zone over Ukraine or supplying the Ukrainian Air Force with new fighter aircraft. I would note that the Pentagon said that adding aircrafts to the Ukrainian inventory is not likely to significantly change the effectiveness of the Ukrainian Air Force relative to Russian capabilities, Psaki said during Tuesday's news briefing. And the assessment was that the transfer of these planes may be mistaken as escalatory, as we said, and could result in a significant Russian reaction. But that is the risk assessment that was done. That risk assessment hasn't changed. On a no-fly zone, Psaki said Biden has to look at decisions that are made through the prism of what is in our national security interests and global security interests. And he continues to believe that a no-fly zone would be escalatory, could prompt a war with Russia.